Hello dear friends, today we will prepare very delicious mousse pastries inspired by the beloved Raffaello candies in a tropical version. We are in for a coconut sponge with an almond crunchy layer, an aromatic mango passion fruit insert, and a delicate coconut mousse. We will coat the pastries with a glaze containing coconut flakes, and all of this will be in the recognizable format of round bonbons. By the way, we recently made Ferrero Rocher pastries. Just imagine what a great set you can assemble. Let us start baking. We will start with the insert. We will need passion fruit puree, mango puree, a little lime juice, sugar, pectin, and a small amount of glucose syrup. In a saucepan, combine both purees, add the glucose and half of the sugar. Mix the remaining sugar with the pectin. Place the saucepan on the stove and begin heating the puree. With constant whisking, sprinkle in a thin stream of the pectin mixed with sugar. It is important to add the pectin before the puree warms above 40 degrees. Bring the mixture to a boil approximately to 90 degrees and cook for about 1 minute. Then remove it from the stove, add the lime juice and mix thoroughly. Now pour the mixture into freezing molds. It is convenient for me to transfer it into a jug with a spout. It makes neat work easier. I will indicate the cavity volumes in the recipe below the video. Fill the molds not to the very top. The insert must complement the dessert, serve as an accent, but not pull all the flavor to itself. Send the mold to the freezer until it is completely frozen, and in the meantime, we will prepare the sponge. We will need egg whites, almond flour, desiccated coconut, choose flavorful tender flakes, not tough and not over-dried, sugar, a little wheat flour, and confectioner's sugar. Sift the remaining dry ingredients onto the coconut flakes. This will eliminate any possible lumps in the confectioner's sugar and almond flour. Then whisk everything together thoroughly. Beat the egg whites until a light foam appears, then, without stopping the mixer, gradually add the sugar. Whip until the volume increases and the mixture visibly lightens. The beaters will leave a pattern on the surface. The meringue should be stable yet soft and supple, without stiff peaks. This is the texture the meringue must have. Add the dry ingredients to the meringue and gently fold with a spatula until evenly moistened. Do not overmix. You will obtain a batter that is thick yet airy. Spread the batter in the tin in an even layer and bake at 170 degrees for about 20 minutes. The baked sponge will spring back slightly when pressed. Its surface is matte, and the edges may slightly pull away from the sides of the tin. Carefully remove the sponge from the tin and peel the foil or parchment from the base. While it is warm, the layer is rather fragile, so handle it gently. Let it cool completely, and before cutting the bases, you may slightly chill it. This makes the work much easier. When the sponge has cooled completely, cut out discs. I will give the dimensions in the description below the video. Cut with light rotating motions so the layer does not get compressed. The sponge turns out very aromatic and tasty, and it is perfect for our pastries. Now we will prepare the crunchy layer. For the crunchy layer, we will need wafer crumbs, white chocolate, a pinch of flaky salt, almond paste made from roasted almonds, and desiccated coconut. I lightly toast the coconut until a pale golden hue appears. This opens up its aroma and deepens the flavor. First, mix the dry ingredients, wafer crumbs, toasted coconut, and salt. Separately, combine melted white chocolate with the almond paste and stir until homogeneous. Then unite the two mixtures and stir thoroughly so that every crunchy particle is coated with the chocolate shell. Place 1 teaspoon of the crunchy mixture on each sponge and spread it evenly over the surface. With this layer, the sponge already evokes a Raffaello sweet, and it tastes unbelievably good. Put the bases into the freezer and proceed to make the mousse. For the mousse, we will need coconut puree, egg yolks, whipping cream with a fat content of 33%, sugar, white chocolate, mascarpone, and prehydrated gelatin. Begin preparing the mousse by whipping the cream. The cream must be well chilled. Whip to a soft whipped stage. The cream becomes fluffy and airy, increases in volume yet remains fluid, and does not hold distinct peaks. The trail of the whisk on the surface disappears almost immediately. This is how the cream should look. Place it in the refrigerator immediately until needed. Melt the white chocolate, preferably straight in a tall beaker, as it will later be convenient to work in it with an immersion blender. Add half of the sugar to the yolks and immediately whisk thoroughly. In a saucepan, combine the coconut puree with the remaining sugar and place it over heat. Bring it to a very hot state so the sugar fully dissolves, but do not allow it to boil. Pour the hot coconut puree in a thin stream into the yolks, constantly stirring with a whisk. The sugar must dissolve completely. Then return the mixture to the saucepan and continue cooking, preparing a crème anglaise. Cook over medium heat, stirring continuously with a spatula. Heat to 82 degrees, and even when using a thermometer, also judge visually by the texture of the cream. The cream should be smooth, creamy, and slightly thickened, not dense but like a light sauce. It is crucial to remove it in time. If you overcook and overheat, the yolks will instantly begin to coagulate and the cream will turn grainy. Once the cream is off the stove, immediately add the bloomed gelatin to the hot mixture. It will halt any further cooking. Stir thoroughly until the gelatin has completely dissolved. Next, pour the cream onto the melted chocolate and emulsify with an immersion blender until perfectly homogeneous. You obtain this beautiful cream, and before adding the mascarpone, it must be cooled to 35 degrees. You may place the beaker in a bowl of cold water or in the refrigerator, stirring periodically. When the mixture has cooled to the required temperature, it will become slightly thicker. Now add the mascarpone cheese. It must be at room temperature, about 20 to 22 degrees. If necessary, you can very carefully warm it with short pulses in the microwave. Blend the mixture briefly, only until fully homogeneous, so the mascarpone does not separate. You obtain a smooth, beautiful base, and now it only remains to combine it with the semi-whipped cream. Before combining with the cream, make sure that the base has cooled to about 30 degrees. Take the cream out of the refrigerator, restore it with light strokes of a spatula, and stirring constantly, begin to pour in the coconut base. Stir until you have a perfectly homogeneous mousse. We will assemble the pastries in this silicone mold. I will indicate the exact volume in the description below the video. Fill each cavity about halfway with mousse. Since it is still liquid, I will place the mold in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes, so the mass thickens slightly but does not yet begin to set. Meanwhile, prepare the insert. It is completely frozen and releases from the mold easily. Remove the insert quickly so that it does not get covered with condensation, and return it to the freezer at once. When the mousse has slightly thickened, place the insert, pressing it gently into the center. Cover with the remaining mousse, but not completely. It is important to leave space for the sponge. Finish assembling the pastry with the sponge. Place it into the mousse, crunchy side down, pressing lightly so it aligns with the rim of the mold. Send the pastries to the freezer until completely frozen, for at least 8 hours. To coat the pastries, we will prepare a coconut Rocher glaze, combine melted white chocolate with vegetable oil, and blitz with a blender until homogeneous. Add the coconut flakes and fold with a spatula. Remove the frozen pastries from the mold and glaze them immediately. It is crucial to prevent condensation. If the surface starts to moisten, the glaze will apply unevenly. The working temperature of the glaze is about 33 degrees. The warmer it is, the thinner the layer will be, but if you overheat it, the hot glaze may begin to melt the mousse. It is convenient to spear the pastries on a wooden skewer and quickly dip them into the glaze, removing the excess against the rim of the glass. You can also pour the glaze over the top. I demonstrated this method in the Ferrero Rocher pastry recipe. The pastries are now finished. Do not leave them at room temperature. They must be thawed only gradually in the refrigerator. Such pastries can be beautifully packed into gift boxes. They look very neat and festive. Look how neat and beautiful the pastries turned out. They immediately bring to mind the famous sweets. The tropical insert pairs wonderfully with the delicate coconut flavor. It preserves the Raffaello mood and makes it even more expressive. They taste fantastic, and what a striking cross-section! Friends, be inspired and be sure to give it a try. And that is all from me. I thank each of you for your attention. See you in new videos. Bye-bye.